Today, we are gathered to celebrate the graduation of the Senior Leader Class, Class 22-007. For the past 3 weeks, these NCOs have learned leadership skills such as counseling, mentoring, Army writing, critical thinking, and problem solving to give them the foundational education for the effective leadership for an enlisted senior leader in the Army and in the National Guard recruiting and retention. The guest speaker for today's ceremony is Command Sergeant Major Anthony Abbate. Command Sergeant Major Abbate was born in Bronx, New York, July 3, 1983. He enlisted in the New York Army National Guard as a senior in Lehman High School, Bronx, New York in 2000. He served as a military police officer, gunner, team leader, and squad leader with the 442 Military Police Company, both stateside and in Iraq. In 2006, he became a recruiting and retention NCO with the New York Army National Guard. He has operated as a station leader, company admin NCO, section chief, first sergeant of Alpha Company, and he currently has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, policing, and public safety from Excelsior College and is a graduate of the United States Sergeant Major Academy. Currently, he is the senior enlisted advisor to the battalion commander on soldier training, discipline, and morale for the 250 recruiting and retention personnel across New York State. At this time, it is my pleasure to turn the microphone over to Command Sergeant Major Abbate.
All right. Thank you, Sergeant. Thank you, First Sergeant, Cadre, all the PECA course instructors for allowing me this opportunity to speak to the SLC graduating class. Everybody take a breath. Actually stand up. Take a deep, cleansing breath. Sit down, relax, you made it. All right? Now you just got to get home. And I'm standing between you and that, so this is going to be a while. 2007, FY7, 2006 I started in recruiting, and I'm not going to sit up here, we already read the bio, none of you really care where I came from anyway, but I want to talk to you about starting in FY6. When I started recruiting, my Uncle Rocco told me that around 1969 he got his draft notice, and a friend of his told him, you know, Rocco, you know, if you go to the Kingsbridge Armory, anybody know the Kingsbridge Armory in Bronx, New York? Raise your hand if you do. Couple of years. It's the biggest armory in the United States. He says, Rocco, if you go there with a case of scotch, the guy's going to put you in the National Guard. It's like, okay. So he goes down, drives his car down to the Kingsbridge Armory, goes into the recruiter's office, says, hey, I'm Rocco Abbate. He says, where's the case of scotch? He says, it's in the car. He goes, well, go get it. Brings the case of scotch to this recruiter. He's in the National Guard. He did 10 years as a light wheel mechanic. I mentioned that because I've been doing this since FY6 and nobody's got me a case of anything, let alone scotch. It's okay, you can laugh, it is a joke, but a true story. Stand up if you made mission this FY. Let's give them a round of applause. Go ahead and sit down. Stand up if you are a production recruiter and you're going to make mission in FY23. I assume the ones that aren't sitting are on support roles, and we appreciate your service as well. Have a seat. We've had an all-volunteer military force started in 1973. That means a lot. You see what's going on, you watch the news, you've got Twitter, same thing as I do. You see what's going on in the Russia-Ukraine conflict right now, conscripts being sent to the front, 2 weeks of training, no gear, no way of knowing what's next for them. That's not us, and we're not going down that road ever. So for 49 years, we've had an all-volunteer Army. And not to say that a conscripted Army prior to that didn't get us to where we are today. It has. Americans throughout our history have stood up, whether they volunteered or not, and did what they were supposed to do for the good of the nation and the organization as a whole. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to talk to you about what's in the ADP. I'm not going to sit here and stand here and talk to you about what Mission Command is. I want to share with you some things I've learned, some the right way and some the hard way, okay? First off, you guys are graduating from 79 Tango SLC. What does that mean, all right? It means the leadership has seen something in you for you to be here today. You hit benchmarks. You weren't just provided an opportunity to go to NCOES. You had to do minimum expectations, and they're not really minimum. You had to go to SQI4, okay? You had to graduate. You had to get past qualified. You had to do 18 months as a production recruiter. You had to gain a senior badge. You had to be converted through NGB. There's a lot of protection when it comes to our CMF, as there should be, okay? Because we control it. We don't get DA selected. We volunteer to do this. There's nobody sitting in this room that didn't volunteer to do what they're doing. So that speaks a lot about who you guys are as NCOs, as leaders, and your character, okay? And I'm sure that you're not just NCOs. Some of you are mothers and fathers, and that you have lots of responsibilities that make you better at that, and that's important, all right? Never sacrifice that. I mention that because I want you guys to understand that you are they now. Whether or not you are a production recruiter, whether or not you're a station leader present, whether or not you're an assistant section chief, you are going to be in roles of greater responsibility and authority, whether you like it, whether you sought it or not, by simple fact that you are competent and you care, okay? And sometimes that's all that's required. In fact, I'd rather that than all the schooling in the world, because those that want to be right, I got no time for, and neither should you. You want to get it right. All right, and that's one of the first things I learned about being an NCO is I was wrong a lot. And I was all right with that because I didn't have an ego the size of Texas is the plate I'm driving right now, which is odd for me as a New Yorker, but I took a picture and sent it home. I'd rather get it right than be right. And I would strive for you, I would hope that you guys strive for the same thing. So a couple of things. Be consistent, be engaged, be an on leader. There is nothing worse than being a leader that has 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Okay? I'm sure you have leaders like that. I'm sure you've had leaders like that. You can learn just as much from a toxic leader as you can from a great leader. Okay? And you could also put people in and make your mission whether or not you're working for a toxic leader or a very great leader. I have some of the best years I ever had as a recruiter were from section chiefs that I didn't want to know, wouldn't send a Christmas card to. So that's not the excuse. All right? It starts with us and it ends with us. Mission completion at this point now for you guys individually is an implied task. The reason for you being here, amongst other things, is the fact that now I expect you to drag others to do the same thing. No soldier is going to come to you and say, hey, Sergeant, thanks for being, keeping me accountable. Maybe they will, and even if they don't, at least they'll be winning. They'll love you when they're winning. And even if they don't, at least they'll be winning by virtue of the fact that they're winning and you're winning. Who's winning in here? Is anybody winning? I see you back there. That was your cue to stand up. All right. They can't all be gold, guys. I'm doing the best I can. All right. Every day is an opportunity to get it right or to get it wrong. Don't concern yourself with being right. Like I said, get it right. Don't dwell on the peaks and valleys. Okay? Have the discipline to do the job in the middle. When things are great, they can't always stay great. And when things are bad, you never feel like they're going to get good again, and they're never as bad as they seem. Everything has a way of leveling out, even in this CMF. Have the discipline to just do the job. Don't feed into the negative narratives. You guys are leaders, and if you're making excuses, your soldiers don't have to make any because you're already doing it for them, and that will be the result, and that will be the legacy left behind. Our mission is every day, right? We're judged daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, biannually, annually, and it's almost too much, except for the fact that it's a team sport. Anybody that says recruiting is a one-person sport now, they ain't ever leading anything. They may win some awards, which is fine. Not everybody gets to be a leader, and that's okay, but they're not going to lead anything. And if they do, they're not going to do it well. Be ferocious for your soldiers and your applicants. But do your homework. If you're going to advocate for anybody or anything, you better have done your homework. Because when you start advocating and you don't have any knowledge and you get something thrown in your face, it's back to the drawing board, all right? And that's a humbling experience, and it's okay. But after like the third or fourth time, you might want to prepare yourself. Don't be like me and wait 10 times. I look like this for a reason, guys. Nobody's going to take care of us better than us. There's no reinforcements coming. There's nobody that knows more than you do. There's nobody that is going to do it better. You have to do it, and you have to show others the same. I mentioned this because coming through the gate today, I got a little nostalgic. This is probably going to be my last time being here before I retire, unless I mess up or maybe I come down to help you guys out, which I don't know. But this base, these instructors, this CMF has been very good to my family and I. Be grateful for this. Be grateful for the fact that the mission never stops. We never have to look far. Every day is an opportunity to gain or lose credibility with your seniors, your peers, and subordinates alike. And sometimes you're going to lose credibility, and sometimes you're going to lose it because you're sticking to your guns, and that's okay. It's not personal, it's business. Be mindful and hold yourselves accountable for it. One of the biggest things that I've learned is not everybody gets treated the same. Everybody gets treated fairly. Okay? You treat everybody the same, nobody's going to follow you. Soldiers remember how they were treated when things were, they don't remember how they were treated when things were good, but how they were bad. Sergeant Rivera, there's some people in this room. When I first took over as a first sergeant, it was 2 weeks in, and a very dear friend of ours killed himself in the unit. Sergeant First Class Jonathan Clement, and that gutted the unit bad. It was probably the worst experience I've ever had being in the military, followed by a ban on permanent resident applicants, which killed New York. And I know Jersey's in here too. They were affected by it too, Texas, California. And it was bad for a while, but we banded together, and we swallowed a lot of humble pie, myself included, and gave the soldiers the opportunity to figure it out, to be successful, gave them what they can do in time. Time is the most important thing that we deal with, aside from making mission, because everything takes time, and either we're spending it wisely or we're spending it poorly. We already talked about they'll hate you, but at least they'll be winning. Maybe they'll love you, maybe they don't. Winning is making mission. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. All right? If you didn't make mission this year, the beauty about this CMF is that we get the opportunity to do it again and again and again. And you will quit on us way before we quit on you. And your soldiers will quit on us way before they quit on you, so don't let them. You guys are now going to be SLC graduates, MLC to come, possibly Sergeant Major's Academy. Look to your left. Seriously, look to your left. Look to your right. Look to your left and right. Look behind you. Some of you are going to be here giving a speech, being a CSM, being an operations sergeant major, being a first sergeant. Some of you thinking, never me. I only ever wanted to make E5. The rest was just gravy, okay? Proud of all you guys and gals. If you remember anything I said today, which probably won't be much, and that's fine, winning is making mission is winning. That is what we do. If you don't agree with me, allow me to talk to you afterwards or on the flight home. That is what we do. They're counting on us. Nothing happens without our efforts, good, bad, or indifferent, okay? Best of luck to all of yous. Godspeed. Thank you for your loyalty, discipline, professionalism, and the sacrifices made by both you and all your families. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. Congratulations.
Command Sergeant Major Abbate, thank you for your candor and profound words of mentorship.